Okay, we can use stereo width manipulation to really affect our drums. Because limiters on the two bus can knock off some of that transient attack, we can use trickery to bring some of that back or bring back different elements that make drums exciting again. And this is assuming that adding the brick wall limiter really messed your drums up. Or maybe just took something away from them, or maybe just, I don't know. Either way, we can add a little something after the fact by basically going wider. And let's check out what our mix is now. First off, let's make sure again, anytime we make big changes like this, we got to make sure our RMS level is where it should be. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and turn everything back on because I turned it all off before to show you some other stuff. And let's see what kind of levels we're getting. I'm going to go back to, well, we can keep this one. Who cares? Okay, so we got all of our little gadgets on, our tape emulator, our EQ that'll pull out the really deep stuff. We have Isotope Ozone 5's imager to pull the low end, to monoize it. And then right now we have the Sonics limiter. Oh yeah, not to mention the Sonoformer brick or multiband compressor. Okay, so anyway, we're hitting our level goals of minus 6 dB here. And now we're looking at our drums, and they can change a little bit, and it may not be for the better. So there's a few tricks I know that are fun to kind of bring life back to drums. First off, let's listen. And I don't hate that sound. And for this particular band, it's chunky. There's not a lot of brightness to that snare. But I don't hate it. We haven't used samples at all, by the way. This is all just the real drums. The first thing I want to try is pulling the low end, monoizing it, and see if we can get anything interesting out of that. So let's go. There's some differences. I can't figure out which way I like better there. Since we're already monoizing the low end later, we're probably not hearing it much because it's already been done. So the other thing I like to look at is see what we can do with the top end. And this is something I'm going to hear a lot more clearly on monitors. So headphones are terrible for this. But I'm going to start adding width to the top end. Now this is just 10K and up, so this is just like your air stuff. But let's see what can happen is as we've kind of discussed a million times before, and this is covered more so in other videos in the hyper guides here, is everything's all jumbled up in the center, and that even includes top end. And when we go wider, you get more there-ness. The stuff just sounds like it's more there because it's not competing. Kind of big fish in a small pond kind of concept. So I'm going to start widening the top end, not necessarily because I want the cymbals to sound like they're, one's in Florida and one's in Oregon or anything like that. I just want to make it seem like, make it cut through, make it kind of add like more EQ as if top end was being used, but without resorting to EQ. And why not? I don't know. This is just fun, I guess. Anyway, there's no great reason for this, I don't guess. But let's listen and see. Well, I can tell you one thing. Even on headphones, I know when I monoize the top end, that the cymbals kind of disappear in my headphones. They're really, really down. And so when I turn them all the way up, they're there. So again, headphones are terrible for this sort of thing. So let's just guess 50. I might be way off, and you guys listening on monitors and whatnot are going to be like, that's awful. And you may be right. But the bigger issue here, and this is more of a thing with the snare bottom, it's the most important part of what I'm getting ready to talk about, but also Tom Attack too, is adding width to this upper mid frequencies, 2K to 10K range. by going wider on that, we can get so much more detail and clarity out of our drums. And then, of course, in this particular mix, the guitars are really chewing up the sides a bit, so that makes it a little bit more complicated. But the center now is not going to be a problem, so it's not going to be cluttering anything up. So let's see if we can hear this in the headphones. Whenever I can't hear a lot of width being added in these headphones right now, but what I can hear is the snare bottom getting a little bit overdone, fakicized whenever I've got it all the way up. So that's the thing we have to realize is that snare bottom is right in this region. And by really making that super wide, we're actually going to increase what it sounds like we've turned the snare bottom up. And maybe even it sounds like we turned the snare top relatively down. So our snare is going to be less chunky, but it stands the chance of getting a little bit, mushy or fizzy or something like that. So, that's kind of have to be careful with that. But what I do know is that we can add, if the drums are missing something or have a dull quality, or maybe they're just too chunky, which is an easy thing to do. And when limiters come to play on the brick wall, limiters on the tube bus anyway, that chunkiness can really just turn into junk in a hurry. So this is a good way, subtly, of adding quite a bit more niceness. And we can do the same thing in this particular case with just using the cheapo Cubase widener. Let's do that instead because it's free. I'm in a phase right now where I really, really, really want to like free stuff. Maybe because I have a kid due like tomorrow, but for some reason I'm wanting to get more for less. Maybe because I spent $1 million on this crap. Well, not quite $1 million, but enough where that number's close. And I'm still not in love with my gear. But anyway, I talk about that every single day. Oops, wrong button. See, I start preaching and then I hit the wrong stuff. Even the Cubase stereo enhancer should do something pretty cool here. In case you were wondering, yes, this is awesome on room mics. That's the thing I'm hearing is the room mics just came alive, which they're all distorted all to hell anyway on this. I ran them through guitar pedals and everything else. I named it El Distorto, but that's another trick. We'll talk about mixing stuff, drum mixing. I want more money from you boys and girls. Anyway, so the thing is by width will give us that more upper mid-range, more clarity. If you do too much, you'll hear it for sure, and it won't be good. But if you find just a little nudge into the widening department, drums can really come alive after they've been squashed. All right, guys. Bleh.